What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to another Warframe video. So we've got 4 new Warframe augment mods releasing on the Jade Shadows update in about 5 days from today's date. I want to review our pre-release information to maybe let you know which ones are looking the best at the Jade Shadows augments. So we've got 4 augments we'll be going over today, and I've got pre-release builds as well. For one of them, I don't even know if it's going to be worth running, so I'm just going to show the build I used for the previous augment, and maybe we can find some room on the build for that augment. But either way, let's go over these 4 new augments for Jade Shadows update. But before we do, make sure you sub this channel. We do daily Warframe video uploads. We'll be covering the actual Jade Shadows update in great detail next week, so you're in the right place for Warframe content. Also, we have a pre-release guide on the new Jade Shadows event, Ascension, and all the other stuff, so let's get right into what we have today. Alright, so for the new augment mods, we got 4 of them. One of them's for Protea, Qorvex, Dagath, and Sevagoth. So let's start off with the Protea augment first. And reminder, this will be released when the new update comes out. So we got Temporal Artillery. It's going to be for the Blaze Artillery, so the heat turrets of Protea. When Temporal Anchor is activated, so you must have her 4th ability still on to use this, one existing artillery unit will attach to Protea, halting its duration countdown. Maximum combo count is 20. So, that's a lot to go over, but yes, we have to, so the way that this works, we will have our Blaze Artillery on the ground already. Then once we activate Temporal Anchor, we will pick up one of those Blaze Artilleries and it will carry it around with us. Additionally, the heat turret combo count is capped at 20, because they really wanted this augment to be very restrictive. So that means that we're making a build for Protea. We must not helmet off her 4th ability first off, because we need that to make this augment actually work. And we also need to make sure that we have, probably some decent amount of duration to stay in her 4th ability, Temporal Anchor, because 12-second duration. We'll be carrying around the heat turret for about 12 seconds, and we'll have to recast it after that. And with this build, it's 155 energy, so kind of a lot. So let's go over what we've got right now, and this is my previous build for when Temporal Anchor, the Temporal Erosion was added. So I'd say that if you want to run this new augment for Protea, I'd say run Temporal Erosion and the new one, Blaze Artillery. What is it called again? Temporal Artillery. So you got Temporal Erosion and Temporal Artillery. What does Temporal Erosion do? Well, your heat turrets will remove enemy armor per hit while you have the 4th ability active. So since we have to keep the 4th ability for this new augment mod, we've got no helmets on Protea, and we've actually got an open mod slot for that new augment right now. So just going ahead and showing how this works. Power strength will influence how much armor strip per shot you have with Temporal Erosion, and longer duration means longer duration heat turrets for the purposes of Blaze Artillery. But the combo, remember, the duration of the turret will be paused while you're carrying it around. So let's just go ahead and show how this can kind of work in here. Now, of course, I can't carry around the turret until the augment gets added, but let's just go ahead and show how it works right now. So we cast the 4th ability of Protea, the Temporal Erosion. We cast a heat turret, probably just 2, I guess 2 is fine. So as you can see, their armor is gone. So with the new augment, we'll be able to grab one of these heat turrets and carry it around with us. And yeah, Temporal Erosion is pretty good. Now, we hold the ability button down to not go back in time, but if you don't do that, you will just go back in time and, like, teleport it back to wherever you started. So if you want to do that, it will refresh your energy back to where before you casted it. But yeah, this will probably be a augment mod that is a little bit too restrictive, I'd say, for Protea. Temporal Erosion is already pretty good. And there's the armor strip right there. Armor's already instantly gone, and the armor strip does scale with strength on this one. Do we really need to be carrying around a heat turret with that? I don't think so. I think that the fact they put the Temporal Anchor restriction on there kind of like hurts the augment a little bit and makes me not want to run it as badly. But yeah, if you do want to have a build based around the new augment, we're actually going to have 2 augments on this one with armor stripping turrets and the turrets you can carry around. So Archon Vitality gives you double heat procs, very good. Of course, you could level it up a little bit more if you want to have more health, but you just need an unranked version of this for more heat procs. Yeah, so as far as that augment, I don't think it will be very meta. I think it will be, at least interesting on a build like this, but it's extremely restrictive due to you not... Like, honestly, what are you going to helmet off? You going to helmet off her shield nades? Of course not. You can helmet off her heat turret? Well, you can't do that with the augment. You can helmet off her dispensary? You have limited options where you can helmet off. So I'd say no helmet on the Protea build for this new augment because you have to keep her for some reason. So that's enough of that. Well, let's move on to the next augment. And the next augment will be for Sevagoth. it's going to be for the second ability of Sevagoth called So. Now, for this one, I mean, it's going to be nice. It's going to be nice, but I still have some issues with the exact stats of it. We've got a pre-release build. I've got a shield gating build and a non-shield gating build, but it's going to be for the second ability of Sevagoth called So. Enemies killed while inflicted with So will spread its effect in a 15-meter radius. Also, the Shadow's Death Harvest attack will inflict So. That part doesn't really matter as much. The main thing is that So will spread to nearby enemies in a 15-meter radius. We don't know if it will scale with range. It probably will. But what does So do? So makes a true damage per second DOT on nearby enemies that are in the radius of it. Additionally, those enemies affected by that true damage DOT will do percent health explosion damage when hit by the Reap ability of Sevagoth. So basically, you use this ability So to put the DOT on them, and you use the Ghost to detonate the DOT. And actually, the DOT will keep going afterward. It just gives you an explosion because they're affected by it. So this is going to be a low-level adaptation kind of build for it. But for a more shield-gating build, we got this. Now, this is annoying to play, for sure. You will be shield-gating with Roar or with your first ability. And I'm not exactly happy with how this turned out. But yes, for shield gating and all that, we got a build right there that will work. And for normal missions, this was going to work too. We got Prime Redirection Adaptation for more shields. Arcane Aegis to regen our shields back. Now, I know that Gloom is lifesteal, so you could go for a health version of this as well with like armor or whatever. But I decided to go for this right now. You put the new augment rod right here. Now, if it does scale with range, a build more like this could be better because we're not going to really have room for the augment here, but if the So distance scales with range, you'll have plenty of nuking range. Now, just go ahead and showing how the normal missions one goes right here. Now, we don't have the augment in the game, obviously, but I'm going to show you how it works on the current patch, because it's actually pretty good on the current patch right now. So we cast Roar for more damage. We cast So. As you can see, there's a 1.3 thousand damage DOT on these enemies. Then we use Reap, and they're getting exploded through their armor. And these are Steel Path Exogok stats. So if you were to throw Armor Strip in there, they'd die even faster. And of course, since we have the Shadow Haze augment, we have increased critical chance on these enemies that are affected by Reap. So he can already do some pretty good stuff there. So I had to kind of recast Reap to get that. That'll be at the end of the Simulacrum spawning area affected. So yeah, some range could be good on there too. But yeah, you could just use this at like normal levels. And just put the new augment right here if you want to. I don't know if the new augment will really be worth it. You cannot recast So. So that's the main reason you would maybe want to use this, because you cannot recast this, and this is a portion of your nuke right here. Your nuke damage does not do nearly as much unless you have So active on those enemies. But beyond that, the Shadow form providing So after using, was it Death Reap or something? I don't remember the names of these abilities, but okay, so Death's Harvest will provide the So debuff. The problem is that a lot of Sevagoth players don't use the Shadow form anymore because it feels kind of clunky. But yeah, if you are using Shadow form, it will give you some additional functionality. So that's all well and good. So yeah, Sevagoth augment, it's a little bit on the tame side. I don't think it will be meta, but the next one we're talking about I think will be a must-have on frame builds going forward for this next upcoming frame. And that frame's going to be Dagath. So Dagath is getting her first augment mod. It's going to be called Spectral Spirit. And this one is going to be a doozy as far as build crafting around it. There's a lot to go over here, so let's start reading how Grave Spirit's augment mod Spectral Spirit will work. Okay, so the ability is going to be Grave Spirit. That's the ability of Dagath when she basically, if you have this ability active and you die, you don't actually die, you become like a ghost, and you have increased like crit damage or whatever, and you're invincible while you're a ghost. But this augment will make it where you immediately go into ghost form when you cast this ability. Also, while you're in ghost form, 100% chance for weapons and abilities to apply Doom, which is one of her debuff attacks. Kills outside of the spectral form decrease its cooldown by 1 second. Now, we don't know any of what scales with strength on here or whatever, but just to put it in perspective, once you activate here's the no helmet build right here. After you activate Grave Spirit, instead of waiting for an enemy to kill you to go into ghost form, you instantly become a ghost when you cast this. What happens when you're in ghost form? Well, you're invincible, and also because of the augment, you will be applying the Doom debuff on weapon hit and ability hit for that matter. What does this do? Well, it can redirect damage from nearby enemies to the enemies affected by Doom, and it can also execute them depending on how much damage you've hit them with in the first place. Now, here's the thing. If you are going to be using this new augment, I don't think you actually need to have the Doom ability on your frame anymore. So if you look at the build I'm going to recommend, you might notice I have helmet off the Doom ability. Why is that? Because you will be applying the Doom debuff on weapons, and doomed enemies will be getting 243% increased critical damage while you're in, this form. So very, very powerful. And depending on how much duration you have, should influence how long you're invincible. So, but here's the problem though: once you die as Dagath, you cannot start that cooldown. There's a cooldown on it. You cannot refresh that cooldown until the Grave Spirit has ended. So I'm going to go ahead and let these enemies kill me here, and we'll show how this kind of works right now in the current version of the game. Okay, so we cast Grave Spirit. Now if the enemies die, we become a ghost. Now we're a ghost. We're an invincible ghost for that matter. And we can just cast our abilities as normal. As you can see in the bottom right corner, if you can't see it covered in the blood, there's 8 seconds until I become not invincible anymore. So in the current or the future patch, I will be applying Doom on weapons to these enemies going forward. So you shouldn't need any shield gate. Every kill is going to reduce that timer that you have. So I have like 17 seconds left right now. If this was the new update and I had the augment on here, they'd probably be about like 4 seconds left as I've gotten some kills here. But yeah, I don't think that the cooldown reduction will apply until after Grave Spirit is over, unfortunately, because it says kills outside of Grave Spirit. But that being said, this is going to be a massive upgrade to Dagath's damage output. This Doom debuff is a little bit annoying to apply because you have to cast the ability manually on enemies. That's also why one of the main reasons you would mod for range on Dagath. You don't need range for her 4 or her 3. You pretty much only need range for her 1 and her 2. But since we're, applying Doom on weapons, we can honestly just go negative range. I actually kind of want to take off Prime Continuity for, Narrow-Minded. I know I couldn't really fit that in the bill at the reform of her, but we get more duration, so we'd be in Grave Spirit for even longer. Our Nourish would last longer, and nothing would really be affected that negatively. I'm not going to even be casting the 4, honestly, but this is not affected by range negatively. Word Sights is, the spread range is, but this is going to be mainly just for shield gating, so I think that you can go negative range on Dagath. You can put the augment right here, and depending on how this is going to scale with range, depending on how this is going to scale with duration and strength, if you get more cooldown reduction per kill, depending on how much strength you have, more strength the better, honestly. If duration is going to be, if you can reduce the duration somehow quicker with more duration or more strength, those will be the things you'll want to be looking out for. But for a general all-rounder build, this build can fully shield gate. This build also has a lot of power strength for getting big Doom crit damage buffs. And it's got a little bit of duration. It probably could use some more duration. Like I said, I could put on Narrow-Minded here instead. But for right now, I think this will be great for the new update. And I think that this Dagath augment will be a must-have for every Dagath player. Unless you are actually someone that uses the extra revive and the free death prevention thing for just a massive damage upgrade, you'll be doing some risk versus reward. You instantly become a ghost, but you have Doom on all weapons, so you should be slaying out everything you see near instantly. So this will probably be the best augment of the bunch, I'm thinking. But we got a new augment for the final frame here that I think will be also a must-have because this frame doesn't really have. This is a thing that the frame kind of needs. So the final one we got here is going to be Wrecking Wall for Qorvex. Now, just a heads up, I don't play Qorvex that much. So I'm not this isn't like a Umbra armor tank build. This is a shield gating build on Qorvex. But the augment for Qorvex will be her second ability, Containment Wall. Containment Wall Augment. Remove 50% of the enemy's armor and shields from struck enemies. Hitting 5 or more enemies will restart the duration of any Chirinka pillars and empower them. So, it's not just an armor and shield strip. It also will make his Chirinka pillars restart the duration and empower them, which means they're going to, I think they have more range or damage or something like that. So, Chirinka Pillar is going to be the first ability of Qorvex, and the second ability of Qorvex is called Containment Wall. So this will be doing armor strip. It also does damage vulnerability right now, which is kind of fun. But yeah, so I'm thinking the armor strip of that augment, so it starts at 50%, and it will scale up with power strength is what I'm assuming. So with multi-augmented, we will be getting enough armor strip, or enough power strength to have full armor strip from that ability. And with Chirinka Pillars, range would be good, but we have limited things we can mess around with here. So augment mod slot right here. Rest of it's going to be just for sustaining your Chirinka Pillars through Nourish and Energy Nexus. So we cast the Chirinka Pillar here and there, radiation procs in an area, Containment Wall to group enemies up and make them very weakened. Hopefully the armor strip and the shield removal works on Acolytes. That'll make it very nice for Qorvex. We also got Disometric Guard. This will make it where we don't have to worry about status procs at all. And as long as we kill an enemy affected by us, a radiation proc, we get our status prevention back. So that's really nice. But it's basically going over what the gameplay playstyle will be. This is going to be the exact same thing that you do as Qorvex normally, but it'll also be better because he'll have built-in armor strips. So kind of hard to show it right now because he doesn't have any armor strip. We cast Nourish to have our energy sustained. We cast Disometric Guard to have our status immunity. We get out some Chirinka Pillars. And we group all the enemies up. So the enemies get grouped into the middle of this, and they would have no armor. They'd probably just be instantly dead, honestly. So there could be some pretty good stuff with Qorvex and armor strip and defense removal. And again, the Chirinka Pillars would have their duration refresh, even though we have a pretty long duration Chirinka Pillar right now. You could maybe go lower duration, as this augment will provide you, you know, refresh duration on Chirinka Pillar, so you don't even need as much duration as I have right now. That's where things like range should come into effect, and things like, mainly range. So you don't really need that much duration on Qorvex, it seems like. So yeah, if that ability is going to be refreshing the duration of the pillars, there is going to be some theory craft to be had here. Now, I do think this augment will be a must-run on Qorvex, because, I mean, what else are you going to do on Qorvex, right? Like, I did remove his laser beam, to be fair, but this could be more of an endurance run build here, with shield gating through his abilities, status immunity, which is pretty nice, and then, you know, a damage debuff and armor strip. This would be quite nice as well, so we have radiation procs just getting some fire off our back. But as far as other builds, usually you keep his laser beam on there. That's going to empower the Chirinka Pillars, also make enemies explode. But I didn't like how I was feeling stun locked in the animations. This is more of a general use build that will work with the new patch. So as far, now, let's review all 4 of the augments now, as far as if they'll be good or not. So as far as after all this is said and done, which ones will be meta? I think that the Dagath augment will be a must-have, a meta augment for Dagath. I think the other 3, actually no, I think the Qorvex one and the Dagath one will be must-haves. I think Dark Propagation and also Temporal Artillery will be niche. Dark Propagation will be great for some nuking builds, but we'll have to see if it actually scales with range. Additionally, not being able to recast So is still annoying, but hey, you should be able to cover the entire map with So with this new augment. Temporal Artillery, on the other hand, I think is too restrictive. Not only do we have to have a Temporal Anchor active, but also the maximum combo count of the Teat turret is capped at 22 for some reason. So I think they were a little bit too safe with the Protea augment, but I think the other 3 should be fine. And I'm not saying the Protea augment is unusable, it's just I don't think I will be using it personally, because if you want to run Temporal Anchor, there's already a really good augment for it, and it feels like this is like a Temporal Anchor augment in disguise as a Blaze Artillery augment. So hope you guys found this video fun, helpful, some theory crafting. Get that Dagath. I don't know what faction, I don't know what syndicate the Dagath augment will be in, but I need to get that day 1 for sure. Gloom on weapon hit is going to be great with beam weapons. It's going to be great with like the Epitaph, for example. So Dagath is looking to be pretty nasty with these new changes. Not to mention, if it works on weapons, or it works on abilities too, like it says in the description, that means her horses will apply Doom, which will be great with that execute damage. So hope you guys found this fun and helpful. I'll see you next time. Appreciate your support. Peace.